Welcome to So Very Easy. My name is Laura, and today it is a wet, miserable day outside. It's a perfect day to sit down and do some quilting. And quilting is a lot of fun if all of those pieces are pre-cut for us. So I do have a quilt kit with all of the little pieces pre-cut for me, so I can just sit down and sew. And the company is called Sit and Sew. So I'm just going to sit down and start sewing. So in order for me just to sit down and sew, I am going to start with a sit and sew kit. The kit has all the fabrics pre-cut for me, and I do get the backing fabric also. All of these pieces are precisely pre-cut, so everything is already done for me. The pattern I've chosen is a log cabin. Now they have 6 different color variations, but I chose something with a little bit more red and green in it, so it would have a little bit more of a fall Christmas feel. And with the easy to follow directions, it will go together really quickly. We don't have any cutting directions because, well, they're already pre-cut. When I start with my fabrics already cut and ready to go, I like to put them on some kind of a board. So this board is just a stretched canvas board. You can get a lot of different sizes. You can use the back side, so it'd be more like a tray, or use the front side and it's all flat. I'm going to follow that pattern and lay out all of my blocks. The kit will make 20 log cabin blocks, so I'll take the center squares and divide them in half. I will need to do that to the next size, and so on. Now this is going to be a very scrappy looking quilt. So we can go through the fabrics and choose a lighter version and a darker side, or just do it scrappy. But I will take time and lay out my pieces according to the diagram. Once my pieces are laid out the same as the diagram, I'm going to label the diagram and label my pieces. For the fabric, I just use these little office dots, and I write right on the dots. The log cabin block is going to be stitched together in rounds. So we're going to start with A and B and stitch those together. The seams are going to go in one direction. Once A and B are together, we're going to add on C. And the seam is going to go down. Add on D, E, F, and we're going to keep stitching those blocks all the way around. So having this labeled and our blocks labeled is just going to help keep us organized. But I will be chain piecing these together, which means I'm going to sew all of A and B together. So I'm going to be able to just pick up this board, bring it to the sewing machine, and sew A and B together in one pile. So all of the A and B pieces have been chain pieced together. So I've just gone to the machine and have stitched one right after another, just leaving a little bit of a thread space in between. Now I'm going to be able to trim the threads. You can use scissors, or there's lots of little tools that have a little knife in them. So you'll be able to just place those threads and cut. Trim these apart and put them all in a stack. Once all those pieces have been cut apart, I'm going to be able to press the seams in one direction. You will press them towards side B. And to avoid stretching these, I'm going to use a small iron with a low heat. Just press all of those seams going in one direction. Once A and B have been stitched and pressed, I like to put them right back on my marks. So I've transferred my marks onto my board. This way I will keep the right order. We'll be able to go clockwise and get the next piece. So we've had A, B, and now we're going to put on C. Even with those seam allowances, those pieces are going to match. And chain piece all of the A, B onto the C's. When this row has been stitched together, we can now trim in between, and we're going to press those seams towards that last block that we put on. A, B, C is now done. I'll get to stitch on D. And once again, as long as we did that 1/4 inch seam allowance, those pieces are going to match up. So D will go on next. I can pick up this whole board and bring it right to my sewing machine. With each round we put on, we're going to be able to continue this theme. And the seams are always going to be pressed to this last piece. I'm going to continue sewing those seams all the way around until I finish all of the blocks. As each piece goes on and we've pressed the seams going out, the blocks are going to be done. This is going to be a really fun, scrappy quilt. As each row is put on and pressed, I have removed the dots and have put them right in place as I normally would have had them on the fabric. This just keeps me going in the right order. After all the blocks are done, then I can get and press them well. The light iron just helps me not stretch those seams. Now I can give them a good press before I sew them together in rows. The quilt is put together with 4 blocks and we have 5 rows. So find a pleasing arrangement, sew your blocks together, then you can put those blocks in rows. Once we have that quilt top put together, we're going to be able to add a border. The kit does come with the fabric. We will need to cut 8 strips at 4.5 inches. Sew those strips together so we have 4 and we can put them on each side. Continue to press those seams going out, and that's going to help keep that top of the quilt nice and flat. With that big 4.5 inch border on, I am now done the quilt top. This was a perfect project for a rainy, miserable day. I didn't have to cut anything. I could just sit down and start sewing. The kits come with the backing and the binding, so now I can find another rainy day and sit down and get it quilted. The quilt ends up being 62 inches by 75.5 inches. It was a fun project, and I'll put a link in the description for you. And thank you for joining me today on Sew Very Easy. Feel free to subscribe, and as always, come on back. Let's see what we're sewing next time in the sewing room. Bye for now.